There are moments in Fairmount Crest when the clouds seem to part, offering a brief, shining glimpse of pure happiness. We recently witnessed one of those rare, heartwarming instances when Jacob Hawthorne, with the dedicated help of Grayson Perez and Ashley Morgan, orchestrated a stunningly beautiful surprise for his wife, Naomi. Seeing Naomi genuinely smile, surrounded by her loving husband and her closest friends, felt like a breath of fresh air. After months of suffocating secrets, undercover police missions, and the terrifying shadow of a BRCA-positive diagnosis, Naomi finally looked at peace. But as any seasoned viewer of this drama knows, peace is never permanent. In fact, that beautiful, romantic surprise was merely the calm before the most devastating storm this couple has ever faced. Just as Naomi is mentally and physically preparing for a massive, life-altering preventative surgery, the universe drops a bombshell that shatters her entire reality. Naomi Hawthorne is pregnant. Yes, you heard that right. In the midst of planning a double mastectomy and potentially an oophorectomy to save her own life from a genetic ticking time bomb, she discovers she is carrying a new life inside her. Talk about a jaw-dropping twist. But while this should be the happiest moment of their marriage, it has instantly become their darkest nightmare. Let us break down the absolute tragic irony of this situation. Naomi has been living in a state of sheer terror ever since she received her BRCA-positive result. She hid the truth from Jacob for months because she was terrified of distracting him while he was deep undercover infiltrating the plasma ring. She carried that heavy, suffocating burden completely alone. When she finally confessed, the plan was clear. Aggressive, preventative surgery to ensure she doesn't suffer the same harrowing cancer battle her grandmother, Anita Dupree, just endured. Naomi was literally sitting in Dr. Monica McCormick's office discussing the removal of her ovaries, a procedure that would trigger early menopause and permanently close the door on biological motherhood. And now, a baby. The timing is so poetically cruel, it leaves you breathless. This positive pregnancy test forces Naomi into an excruciating, impossible dilemma. If she chooses to keep the baby, she must delay her preventative surgeries for nearly a year. That is 9 months of pregnancy plus postpartum recovery, where her body will be flooded with massive hormonal surges. Medically speaking, these hormonal spikes can act as absolute gasoline for certain types of hormonally driven cancers. By giving life to this child, Naomi is actively giving cancer a wide open window to develop and strike. On the flip side, if she proceeds with the aggressive surgeries to guarantee her own survival, she will lose the very life growing inside her. How do you choose between becoming a mother and staying alive? Can you even imagine the psychological torture of making that choice? Enter Jacob Hawthorne. When Jacob hears the news, he is absolutely over the moon. He is ecstatic, thrilled, and completely consumed by the joy of impending fatherhood. And from a psychological standpoint, his reaction makes perfect sense. Jacob has been drowning in darkness for months. He watched his best friend, Derek Baldwin, take a bullet for him. He has been battling severe survivor's guilt, PTSD, and a dangerous, consuming obsession with catching the impaler. Jacob has been surrounded by death, crime, and loss. To him, this baby is a miracle. It is a beacon of pure, untainted light. It represents redemption and a chance to create life after witnessing so much tragedy. But here is where the analytical mind has to step in and ask a harsh question. Is Jacob completely blind to the reality of the situation? His overwhelming happiness is actually incredibly frustrating to watch because it highlights a massive, dangerous blind spot. In his desperation for a win, Jacob is entirely ignoring the loaded gun pointed directly at his wife's head. How can he celebrate so blindly when this pregnancy actively jeopardizes Naomi's life? His joy is suffocating her. It invalidates her very real, very scientifically justified terror. Jacob is looking at a miracle, but Naomi is staring down the barrel of a death sentence. This sharp, agonizing contrast in their reactions is tearing their marriage apart at the seams. The conflict between Naomi's fierce maternal instincts and her desperate survival instincts is causing her to become highly erratic. She is snapping at the people she loves, retreating inward, and suffocating under the pressure. She is desperately trying to be the strong, stoic Hawthorne woman, but inside she is completely crumbling. The pressure is astronomical. Their relationship was already heavily strained by Jacob's rogue police antics and Naomi's months of medical deception. Now you add a high-stakes life or death pregnancy into the mix. It is a recipe for a total marital collapse. Let us not forget the environmental pressure Naomi is currently under. She is not just dealing with this pregnancy in a vacuum. Her father, Bill Hamilton, is currently lying in a hospital bed in critical condition, baffling doctors as his health mysteriously deteriorates. We know Haley Hamilton is slowly poisoning him, but Naomi doesn't have the full picture yet. What she does have is the immense burden of managing Bill's prestigious law firm, dealing with the insubordinate and arrogant Tomas Navarro, and trying to hold her fractured family together. Naomi is carrying the weight of the entire Hamilton Dupree legacy on her shoulders. Adding a high-risk pregnancy to this toxic cocktail of stress is enough to break anyone. We also have to consider the ripple effect this will have on their immediate support system. Grayson Perez and Ashley Morgan helped Jacob plan that beautiful surprise, but they are about to be pulled into a massive emotional vortex. Ashley, as a trained nurse at Garland Memorial, understands the severe medical implications of the BRCA gene better than anyone. When the news of the pregnancy breaks, Ashley will likely be the only one who truly grasps the sheer medical terror Naomi is experiencing. This could create a fascinating dynamic where Ashley, Jacob's friend, might actually side with Naomi against Jacob's blind optimism. Ashley knows that this isn't just pregnancy hormones making Naomi anxious. It is a very real, statistical probability of developing a lethal illness. And then there is the Danny Dupree fact. Oh, Danny. We all know that Danny also tested positive for the BRCA gene, but her reaction was the polar opposite of Naomi's. Danny flat out refused to consider preventative surgery because she is a model and refuses to alter her physical appearance. Danny is living in a state of deep, stubborn denial. When Danny finds out about Naomi's pregnancy, you can bet she will project her own denial onto her daughter. Danny will likely push Naomi to keep the baby, telling her to ignore the cancer risks and just have faith. This will create a highly toxic echo chamber for Naomi, validating her maternal desires while actively encouraging her to ignore the lethal medical realities. It is a brilliant twist of narrative fate. Naomi was ready to make the ultimate sacrifice, removing her breasts and her ovaries to ensure she would live a long, healthy life with Jacob. She was ready to grieve the loss of her fertility. And right at the finish line, right before she closes that door forever, a baby slips through. It feels like a cruel test. Is this a reward for her bravery, or a trap that will ultimately lead to her demise? The psychological warfare happening inside Naomi's mind is the most compelling storyline on the canvas right now. Every time Jacob touches her stomach with a joyful smile, Naomi feels a spike of sheer panic. She loves her husband, and she undoubtedly already loves the life growing inside. But she also loves her own life. She watched Anita lose her hair, her strength, and nearly her life to breast cancer. Naomi refuses to put herself through that agony. But now, the only way to avoid it might be to terminate a deeply wanted pregnancy. This is where the writing elevates from a standard soap opera to a gripping, intelligent character study. There is no right answer here. There is no villain to defeat or mystery to solve. It is just a woman, her body, and an impossible, devastating choice. Jacob's relentless optimism is clashing violently with Naomi's pragmatic terror, creating a storyline that doesn't just tug at your heartstrings, it rips them out entirely. Will Naomi risk her own life to give Jacob the child he so desperately wants? Will Jacob wake up from his joyful delusion and realize that he might be trading his wife's life for a baby? And if Naomi makes the heartbreaking choice to prioritize her own survival, will Jacob ever be able to forgive her? The stakes have literally never been higher. This isn't just about love anymore. It is about survival. And in the ruthless world of Fairmont Crest, survival always comes with a devastating. Let us know what you think Naomi should do in the comments below, and keep watching because this storm is only just beginning.